Hey guys, so I'm back with another haul video, and yeah, it's another candle haul. Basically, there was the $10 off sale that started today on a Friday, and so I went into the store and wanted to get a few of the new ones that I hadn't seen or got yet, which mainly included the new fancy glass lid ones. This is actually my second time filming this haul. I went like super early in the morning when they first opened, and I got 4 candles. I still have 3 of them, but then what happened was, one of those candles was a frosted forest, which I'll still insert the footage from that original one, still talking about my thoughts on the fragrance before I burned it. But then, since I was there so early in the morning, I went ahead and lit it right away and was doing stuff around the house and had it going for 2 hours. It was absolutely 100% unscented. Like, I couldn't smell it at all to like any capacity whatsoever. There was a review online on bbw.com, which once again, a PSA that they are doing that stupid blasted sweepstakes entry review thing that totally screws up any kind of like actual truthful reviews for the most part. You can, I think if you put a review in on the Bath & Body Works website, then you are entered to win a $500 sweepstakes or something. And then the issue with that is most people are just putting like positive, favorable reviews on candles they having been burned or having been bought, just so they can get put into the entry. And I think a lot of people think that you have to put a favorable review to actually be able to win it, even though that's not the case. So what happens is we get flooded with like a million like either fake or just totally useless reviews. And so there's that. So a PSA on that. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, there was one review for that Frosted Forest that said it was that said it was unscented. So I was like, okay, that's confirmed. I must have the same batch as that lady or man who burned that Frosted Forest and said it was totally unscented. So that went back to the store, and then I went later in the day and I went to a different store that had like, oh my God, as if like fall had just started. And so there was like millions of fall candles. And as you know, I missed out on fall because I was during the move and that was on my like low buy period. And I was like, oh my God, here's my chance to like scoop up a few fall ones. So what I did was I returned my Frosted Forest and the Pumpkin Clover that hadn't burned yet. People were saying that one performs just as bad as the original one, so I exchanged those and then bought 2 more candles when I did the exchange at that store because they had so much fall stuff. So let's get into it. So the first thing we have is, I smelled this last week, I think, and I was like, once this goes on sale, I sort of want to get it. And that is the Fresh Winter Air right here. It has like a holographic label on it and it has that glass lid on it. This blue one was particularly janky in the store. There was like a ton of scuffs going about it. I'm not sure if they'll pick up on camera, not quite, but yeah, it was like a lot of paint chipping off on it that really made this, the blue one really janky looking. And a lot of the lids were either loose or they are like a tight fit. So yeah, just a heads up on that. Even though it has like a pretty lid on it, it's just sort of cheapened by the fact the fit isn't very well, and a lot of these are like sort of scuffing up. But this one says zesty citrus, fresh peppermint, cold evergreen with essential oils. This totally doesn't smell like a winter fragrance to me. I get that quintessential white floral, like a laundry fragrance to it, like a cotton laundry fragrance that's usually has a white floral base in it. It's quite soft and pretty and more feminine. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Beach Cabana in the way that Beach Cabana has white florals, but oftentimes they'll also list fluffy white towels as a note. So it does have that laundry type of fragrance. I actually already did burn it earlier today. It was lighter, but I could still smell it. Could still smell it way more than that stupid unscented Frosted Forest. And it was like actually, the more it picked up, the whole office was just beautiful with this gorgeous white floral, powdery, like cotton fragrance mixed with just a hint of a subtle natural sweetness from like a pine needle sap sweetness, but not overly sweet and not overly piney either. This could totally be a beachy, it reminds me of some candle that's not the one that I'm about to tell you right now, but even another one that I can't quite pinpoint. Totally reminds me of like a beachy, like an older beachy like fragrance that would have had white florals in it. Yeah, like one of those like beachside suntan type of fragrances. It's weird. It's not at all a winter fragrance, but I don't mind that because it's like actually so nice or refreshing to get like a white floral clean fragrance smack dab in the middle of holiday. So it does kind of remind me, same fragrance family as the Comfort Soft Cashmere Blanket right here, which I was just talking about somebody in the comments about how we love this one. It was a one-hit wonder. This was fluffy cotton, sheer musk, and lavender essential oil. Yeah, I get the same similar white floral plus cotton laundry vibes to it. But this one's a lot stronger and goes further on the laundry and cotton fragrance than the Fresh Winter Air, which this one's a little bit more subtle and a little bit more sweet. This one's a little bit heavier on that cotton fragrance, but there was like a perfuminess to this that I really enjoyed too. Yeah, this only came out once and I loved it. I like it so much more than like their Fresh Cotton. I don't know what their Laundry Day smells like, but yeah, this is very similar to the softness of this that I think if you enjoyed Comfort Soft Cashmere Blanket, it's not exactly it, but it's a very similar fragrance family. So there's that right there. The next one we have is Peach on Earth, which Bren was raving about this one, so I was so excited for this. I think she said there's an actual genuine bona fide batch variation that might be going on because there's an international label that she found at her store on the bottom, as well as the American label, and I think she was saying this one might be a little bit weaker, but I can't really comment on it because I only have the English label version on it. But this has fresh peach, sweet cinnamon, and frosted vanilla with essential oils. It has the same type of lid on there. This one fits a little bit better. This is delicious, like so much more delicious than I thought it would be. I'm like pretty like impressed. You do get that sort of market peach type of, what is it, Georgia peach, sour tart peach fragrance, but not quite as sour or tart as just that fragrance itself, where it has like a tart raspberry in there that makes it even a little bit more sour. This one's a little bit more toned down by the vanilla in the vein of like peach meringue. But then you get an ever so slight spice fragrance. Very slight like cinnamon in there, but then it's mixed with like this delicious bakery ooey gooiness that comes off as sort of like a custard filling. It reminds me of like a peach custard tart, where there's like a whipped gooey peach filling that's infused with vanilla and then sprinkled with like cinnamon crust that you like started baking in the oven as like a peach tart. Delicious. Wow. So I can't wait to burn this one and see how it translates, but one of their better peach fragrances. Just weird because I was like, what is Peach on Earth going to smell like? It's just such a weird like pun or play on words, but actually quite impressed. So yeah, I can't wait to dig into this one. Is it really a holiday fragrance? Not so much, but I guess you could save this for spring. So yeah, Peach on Earth right there. Yeah, this one's actually gorgeous. So really excited to dig into that. The next one, actually, I think this is where the Frosted Forest gets plugged in. So you'll see me from earlier in the day with slightly different lighting talking about Frosted Forest. FYI, like you can skip through it if you want to. It's unscented, so basically all the massive comparisons that I did was sort of in vain because you can't smell it when you're actually burning it. Maybe there's a different batch out there that you can actually smell, but mine was absolutely completely unscented, like exactly as the review was online. So say hi to previous me, and then we'll get back into the rest of it. We then have Frosted Forest, which is like the last one from this collection with that peppermint sugar cookie that had surfaced, and that is what that looks like right there, and that. And this says Frosted Juniper, Icy Eucalyptus, Evergreen Branches, and White Spruce with the essential oils. This one, all of them were kind of like messy and like, I don't know, whatever in there. Yeah, this one I wasn't sure about. I'm like, I just did a Snow-Tipped Pine review from Homeworks where I was saying the BBW type of Christmas tree fragrances are simply not as excellent as the Slacken ones, and I still stand by that. But I still was like, when I first entered the BBW fandom back in like 2011 or 12 or whatever that was, I really enjoy like Fresh Balsam, the Christmas tree fragrances. I feel like a lot of casual shoppers sort of go into BBW during the holiday season, so you gravitate towards those Fresh Balsam fragrances, and I really liked it. But then for the longest time, I had grown out of liking any type of tree fragrances because I'm sort of over that. Like, give me the bakery. But then now I've like wandered my way back into loving like all types of outdoor and tree fragrances. It's just like when they do outdoor fragrances, so many of the times they just smell like cologne, which I really don't care for. But if it actually smells like a tree or outside or dirt or fresh or crisp in some way, I'm like all about it. So I'm like, yeah, I really want to try this one, and the labels are really cute on it. People were speculating this might be spruce, and I can totally get that association, but there was a spruce candle that came out, was it in the Elements collection when like pomegranate and just like cinnamon and like frankincense or whatever came out? All those came out. There was that plain rose, which was just a repackage of Flower Shop. There was a spruce in there. I didn't really care for it, and then it got repackaged, I believe, again in the White Barn Coraline and White Glass, and it just says spruce on it. I hated that one, that I actually gave it to my parents. There was such a strong, immense like aerosol type of vibe to it that I just really didn't enjoy. This has slight bits of that aerosol fragrance in there, but I think it's distinctly sweeter than spruce was. I get quite a bit of that juniper, and I think a lot of times that juniper is what gives it that sort of like slightly aerosol vibe to it. There's a distinctly, oh my god, girl, who's there again? Juniper, yeah, it gives that distinctly juniper fragrance to it. It reminds me kinda of Sleigh Ride, but it isn't before we get the whole repackaged train going on there. Sleigh Ride was Frosted Juniper, Green Noble Fir, and Rosemary, which was like a 2011, I think, Slacken fragrance. I think it's that juniper in there that's very similar to it. I think Sleigh Ride had a more like dirty, like not so sweet component to it. I actually didn't really enjoy Sleigh Ride. My sister had it and I never enjoyed it when she lit it up, but kind of similar to Sleigh Ride actually. And then so I have a whole slew of pine candles from my collection. Once again, I just like reorganized everything so it's super easy for me to find all my like category candles. We have a Slacken & Co. Frosted Tree right here. This is cedar, fir needle, amber, patchouli, and rosemary. It is not this. This is so much less sweet and more herbal. The patchouli and the woodsy components really come out in here in a more less sweet way. But like, remember, these are also like tree fragrances, so they still share similarities in the sense they're in the same fragrance category or family. But just being very nitpicky, it is not Frosted Tree. We also have Tree Farm, which is out right now. This is crisp pine needle, warm cedar, and spiced apple. This is fruitier and brighter because of that apple, and it has a more of that juicy sap note in it, and less of the juniper that you get from the Frosted Forest. So it's not quite Tree Farm either. We have the Forest Air that came out just randomly one-off last year. And that's what that was. And Forest Air reads Morning Air, Fresh Pine Needles, and Forest Greenery. This is lighter and less sweet. Yeah, it's not as... Yeah, this is actually quite sweet in comparison. This is not sweet. It has a little bit more of that sort of ozone outdoor vibe to it that I don't quite get with Frosted Forest. Similar, but not quite the same, so I don't think it's that either. We also have Snow Covered Pine from that test collection that showed up online for a hot moment. White Douglas Fir, Fresh Cut Balsam, and Snow Covered Pine Needles. This is like so freaking unscented every time I burn it. I simply can't smell it even in my like small little office room. It's just like a watered down, sweeter, fresh balsam, but there's like just nothing to this that I can't even quite explain it. But there's Snow Covered Pine right there. We also have two very similar, but not exactly, ones in Winter Mint and Spruce and Frosted Alpine. Friggin' love this one. I think this is my last one. I've had multiples of this. Love this one too. It was like the closest thing to Snow Day, which still hasn't come out. Like why? I don't understand. That was a mix of Twisted Peppermint with fresh balsam. It was excellent. Like, I don't understand why this just can't be Snow Day. But Sugared Spruce, Crisp Winter Mint, Green Pine, and Frosted Lavender. Oh, delicious. This has a distinctly spruce fragrance. It's less sweet than like their balsam type of pine needle fragrance. You get that lavender in there that makes it very crisp and almost like powdery, mixed with that juicy mint in there. This was just so beautiful and gorgeous. Friggin' love this one. Oh my gosh. It is not this because this does not have the mint or the lavender in there, and the spruce note is totally different. And then Frosted Alpine came out as Frosted Pine Peppermint Stick and Vanilla Sweet Cream, which you're like, oh, that could be Snow Day or Winter Mint and Spruce too. This is a less better Winter Mint and Spruce. It's not the same, but very similar. I think it's missing that sort of lavender kick in there. And the mint is more of this like peppermint that's not so sweet. But very similar to Winter Mint and Spruce, but slight variation to it. But once again, because this has mint in it and the Frosted Forest doesn't, it's not that either. A plug for friggin' Winter Garland, which I don't understand why this doesn't come out either, from Slacken & Co. This is like excellent. It's cranberry champagne blood orange with balsam mandarin and white cedar. Oh my god, so juicy. This is so unique and so different from anything else that they've ever done before. The thing is, this exists as Mistletoe Magic from Homeworks, and it's actually back out again, but sold out on Ulta. But Ulta, you're gonna get like wrecked, damaged, shattered candles and bloody fingers if you order from Ulta, so your mileage may vary, especially because it's online only. And I've been having issues with Homeworks being very unscented, and my original Mistletoe Magic, while it was strong for the first two burns, totally dudded out from Homeworks before. That I'm just like, I would really love having a $10 version from DBW. BBW to be able to get Winter Garland again. This just must be too sophisticated or too out there for it to be popular. It came out, I think, 2 years, and that was the end of it. Thankfully, we still can get it with Mistletoe Magic from Homeworks, but once again, your mileage may vary on the performance of that and whether or not it will arrive to you in one condition. Friggin' Winter Garland, excellent. That and Merry Mistletoe before they tweaked it. Yeah, just a very long-winded way of saying that it's not a repackage of any of those, but similar fragrance family. That juniper stronger in there, mixed with that spruce fragrance, but less aerosol, and then a bit of a sweetness in there to make it feel frosted. We'll have to see how this performs. I'm not super impressed, especially after smelling the masterpiece that is Winter Garland, but it exists, so we will try it. So that's Frosted Forest right there. Thanks so much, previous me. Yeah, so now going back into me now towards the nighttime, and we have a pumpkin cookie dough right here. I was so excited to see this. Oh my god, this is probably the one that I'm most excited for in my whole haul. I was just browsing bbw.com because that's what we all do, and I had noticed that this initially was an online exclusive, and it had the online exclusive little tag or label on the website, but then when I was browsing the BBW website yesterday, I realized the online exclusive labeling was gone from it, and I was like, So then it made me wonder if it would be in store, and then so I went into the store this morning, and bam, there it was, and there was just like maybe 6 of them, so maybe they just got one box, like a crate of 6, and then that was it. I don't know, but I was totally jazzed for it because I really wanted this one, but I didn't want to do the online shipping and everything. So Mrs. Hess24 on Instagram was commenting, I think, on a previous YouTube video. She was the one, I think, who suggested banana walnut muffin for me, and I was like loving that one. That one was excellent, and I feel like we have really similar like bakery fragrance preferences, and I think she was saying pumpkin cookie dough was actually good too, and she sort of put it in my radar, so that's why I really wanted to pick it up. And this is homemade cookie dough, creamy pumpkin, and cinnamon sugar. Yeah, it's like basic, but like delicious. I almost get more, instead of it being like a buttery, ooey gooey like ball of cookie dough, I get more like a dry, powdery cookie fragrance to it. Similar in the vein of like homemade cookies, where it had like the sugar cookie vibe, that was a little bit dry, and it had like an implication of like chocolate chips from like a chocolate chip cookie, but it wasn't really a chocolate chip fragrance. But that type of sugar cookie type of fragrance mixed with just a very minimal amount of spice. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sort of looking forward to burning this and see how it goes. It like has the potential to be good. It smells kind of basic, but like in a good way, like a good BBW bakery fragrance basic kind of way. So we'll see how this goes, but was super jazzed to see that, and I didn't have to pay shipping for it. So there was that. And I still have my survey coupon, so I've been using that. So I do 10 off 30. Basically, I could do a $16.50 and a $14.50, get around like $30, and then take 10 off of it, and then they're like only like $9 or $11 each. So I'm like totally all about that. So there was that. And then so Frosted Forest ended up being a dud, and it was totally unscented. So then I went into a different store to exchange it and see what they had going on. This is like a pretty massive side-by-side White Barn and BBW, but the side-by-side White Barn is like as big as like an individual store. So I was like, I wonder what they're gonna have. Oh my god, it was just like fall was still in full gear there, and I missed out on fall, so sort of making up on lost time. I'm not really a huge fan of Christmas fragrances, that I was like, okay, let me like make this my one shot to get fall, since I sort of missed out on it this season. And so here we are. We have pumpkin Snickerdoodle. This one I've been eyeing for a little bit too, just because I didn't really smell it when it was actually out. And that was that right here. This one has the plain lid on it. This says warm sugar cookies, ground cinnamon, fresh nutmeg sprinkled with sugar. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a slight cinnamony Snickerdoodle fragrance. I don't really get pumpkin in it, but it's not quite as heavy or robust as this sugar Snickerdoodle is, which has more of that pumpkin pecan waffles base in it. This one's a little bit more subdued, but doesn't really remind me of a whole lot. Kind of similar to that pumpkin sugar cookie, which was like a White Barn exclusive a few years back. But I don't know. I'm just really intrigued and curious at how this is different from any of their other cookie or Snickerdoodle fragrances. Like, they have sugar Snickerdoodle, but I don't think it's exactly it. If you've burned this and tried it, let me know what your thoughts are. I'm like totally late to the party on this. Everyone's like blown past fall like months and months ago. And here I am finally following them when everyone's doing Christmas. But I don't know, I like the fall fragrances better than Christmas, and like there's nothing else for Christmas to give, so let me just exchange out stuff. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, like a sugared Snickerdoodle I had it written off as being like a pumpkin pecan waffles dupe, but then once you go to burn it, it's like really scrumptious and delicious that I'm like, okay. So yeah, we'll go in with an open mind and see how this does. So that was pumpkin Snickerdoodle right there. I was just raving about the pumpkin pie fragrance, but this one always duds out, and they had like a crap load of pumpkin vanilla creme, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, let me try this packaging of it, and this is creamy pumpkin vanilla creme, fresh ground nutmeg, and graham cracker crust. Super pretty wax color. This does smell just like the pumpkin vanilla and pumpkin pie for most intents and purposes. Yeah, it's just that delicious, juicy, nutmeg-infused pumpkin pie, ginger infused pumpkin pie filling, mixed with a graham cracker crust note. It's one of the best like pumpkin pie fragrances on the market. You can actually get the crust in it. Compared to this one seems stronger. This one seems stronger on the ginger and the crust note, but still pretty much the same fragrance. They're very nitpicky. It's just because they're different year pours. And this one's maybe just a little bit heavier on the vanilla. I don't know if that's name implying it, but it's pretty much the same fragrance. So that's pumpkin vanilla creme right there. So we'll see how that goes. As a thick rope-like wicks, which is totally different from the wicks that I've had on all previous pumpkin pies, and I'm hoping that this one actually burns better. So we're all about those thick rope-like wicks. So there's that right there. And oh my God, this has been a mystery forever. It's been bugging me, and I'm like, I'm not gonna succumb to buying this stuff just to figure it out, but I did. So here we are. I did another 10 off 30 on this. Oh, that reminds me, there's another item. So yeah, what was it? So yeah, there's been speculation whether or not Thanksgiving is a repackaged caramel apple. There's some people who say it is, and there's some people who say it isn't. And I was just like, this is bothering me so much. But like, I don't want to take my mask off in stores. And so I was like, I can't really dissect it or study it in store. That I was like, the only way I can like actually figure out and like put this to rest, at least for me personally, is to buy it and compare it with my caramel apples at home. I was a huge caramel apple fan. I bought many of them when it came out that year, and I bought another one when it was that online exclusive or something one year too. But in any case, so we have Thanksgiving here, which this collection got totally like I don't know, blown, like just paid dust because the Christmas stuff came out afterwards and no one really was talking about this. Juicy red apple, gooey caramel, praline pieces with essential oil. And I was like, this smells like caramel apple, but there could be a hint of it that's slightly different. And then we have the caramel apple here, and this is different from the Slack & Co. caramel apple. That one had pear and apple and heaps of brown sugar, and that one was delicious. But it had a distinctly brown sugar heavy fragrance, even more so than the caramel and the apple. Well, the apple was still in there, but I felt like the brown sugar, then caramel, then apple, whereas this is more just like pure sweet caramel mixed with a green apple fragrance, is what I got from this. Loved it, it was delicious. And then so I was like, let me see. They're actually different, believe it or not. This one has more of a slightly brown sugar, but not brown sugar in the same way the Slack & Co. one was. And the apple, it takes a little bit of a backseat. It's not quite as bright and juicy and crisp as or tart as the green apple note in the regular caramel apple. Yeah, the caramel comes off more like that butterscotch toffee type of caramel fragrance and different from the caramel that's in Cider Lane and caramel apple. So it's sort of like butterscotch toffee got infused with a hint of apple. It's actually quite delicious though. Juicy red apple, gooey caramel, and praline pieces. Yeah, this is actually different. So like, I love their apple bakery fragrances, and I usually like the caramel apple ones. So I'll be interested to see how it does. Yeah, but actually it's different from caramel apple, believe it or not. So that was Thanks and Giving and the caramel apple. So I'm sort of like excited that it's actually different or new, and hopefully it burns well and I can get satisfaction out of it. And this was the other one that's like deceptive or deceiving, because there was a Welcome Home that came out last year that was that apple butter fragrance, but oh my God, I think the consensus was that that one performed abysmally, and mine nubbed out like no one's business. And then I got the most nastiest greasy, oily, like kerosene gone bad fragrance from it. That was absolutely disgusting. But then there was the Welcome Home that was in like that white marble packaging for just this season. And then there's Welcome Home again in this Thanksgiving collection right here. And I was like, so is this gonna be the same one or not? And this is cinnamon sugar, warm apple butter, clove buds, and brown sugar. I think this is actually different. It's so much more buttery. The apple is a lot less pronounced. And it's very similar to the Cinnamon Pretzel Twist fragrance, which was also kind of similar to, was it either bonfire s'mores or toasted s'mores? It was pretty much just cinnamon pretzel twist. This is more like cinnamon pretzel twist with maybe just a hint of cinnamon and apple. Well, duh, there's cinnamon in there. Maybe a hint of apple. But I'm not even really getting much apple, more as it is just like inside of a cinnamon bun, if you had the butter and the cinnamon like mixed together, it's sort of like that. You get that buttery cinnamon spread. Almost like a cinnamon butter is what it basically smells like. But it's very similar to the cinnamon pretzel twist. So I'll be interested to see how this performs. Hopefully it doesn't dud out. This also has the thick rope-like wicks. So we'll see how that does. And then to top off that 10 off 30 survey coupon action, I did get a You're the One pocket bag. Not the biggest fan of this fragrance, but there wasn't really anything else new. I didn't want like Vanilla Bean Noel or a Candy Apple. I was like, let me try You're the One. You know, this is, I've already talked about it in depth. It's sort of like this, like their fake, like dryer sheets, like potpourri type of rose fragrance, mixed with a little bit of a like musky, powdery floral component with just a hint of a strawberry nectar note. And it's still pretty much the same in the pocket bag. I can tolerate a little bit more in a pocket bag because it's like in a pocket bag, it's a hand sanitizer. So you're not expecting like luxury fragrance. So I'm like, okay, I can sort of get on board with this as a pocket bag. So I threw that in there and called it a day. And that was my haul for today. And yeah, so thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you picked up anything. Totally late to the party with this fall stuff. I'm actually more jazzed about that than I am the Christmas stuff. So I can't sort of wait to dig in. It like finally just started getting a little bit cool here, but I think it's supposed to get hot again. So I'm like, let me finally get into the fall mode. So here we go. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.